This week on TGC News, new stuff from TSOS, Staccato, Henry, Timney, and more. Welcome back to another episode of the Gun Collective News. I'm John, and if you leave a comment below that makes me laugh, I'm going to pick one of them to read out loud in front of the class next week. It's going to be fun. Let's cover some news, shall we? That's kind of what this is all about. It's the early stages of 2024, and the world seems to be in absolute chaos. I mean, some of the stuff that's happening is just straight up shenanigans. So let's see how that affected gun sales in January. According to the FBI, it was one of the lowest on record since 2019. We did about 2.2 million background checks last month, and if we compare that to our peak in 2021, it's about half of our biggest month ever, and about 400,000 less than last year. With the presidential election on the horizon, I'm very curious how things will pan out across the year. You know what I'm not curious about, though? How good this stuff is from this week's sponsor, Radian. Radian offers some of the most interesting pistol accessories out there, like the Guardian Optic Protector with the 6 backup sights. Made for optics like this RMR, you can rest assured it will protect your optic even in the harshest conditions, even if those conditions are a bit ridiculous. To learn more, head over to radianweapons.com. How's about some handgun news? First, we're going to kick it off with another one from TSOS. At first, I thought this was called the Faith pistol, but no, it is the Fatih B380 with fancy wood grips. This is another Beretta Browning 380 clone thing. It appears fairly clean in design. It has a 3.9-inch barrel, comes with 2 13-round mags, and an AMD safety, among other things. Oh, and it's 380. MSRP is $480, and you may want to be a bit cautious because they just announced a recall on several of their pistols, on 6 different models of their 1911s. There are select serial number ranges where the hammer could follow the slide as the next round is chambering, which could set it off, and you'd have yourself a little bit of a machine gun there. I don't know if that's like a fault or a feature. Official info is on their site if you were unfortunate enough to have that. Staccato has a new one this week, and I feel like they have the most simple gun names in the entire industry. This is the Staccato C. It's just a letter C. The idea here is that it's an all-arounder type pistol. It has a 4-inch barrel, 16-round mags, and weighs about 26 ounces, which isn't bad for an aluminum frame gun. What's kind of funny is that right next to each other on the website, they're like one thing, the next thing. They brag about it having a wide frame, and then immediately call the gun slim. What? Either way, I have high expectations on this one. And if the MSRP of the smaller CS, which is $2,500, is anything to go on, this won't be a cheap gun. Let's hope it's good. They also launched their own 9mm ammo that's not the cheapest out there. I mean, nobody expected it to be. At $459 MSRP for 1,000 rounds for the range stuff, and 60 cents per round on the match ammo. I actually have some of that ammo on deck for a review of one of their pistols, so subscribe if you want to see that. Right? That'd be cool. Moving on from there, another pistol from Military Armament Corp. 2 of them, actually. The MAC-5 and the MAC-5K. These are not computers. If they remind you of the MP5, you'd be correct because they are MP5 clones. The MAC-5 has an 8.9-inch barrel, while the K has a 5.8-incher. Both take MP5 mags and accessories and have MSRPs of $1,100. I'm skeptical of these. I've seen both good MP5 clones and ones that are trash. Let's hope these land on the good side of things because the SP5, like the one right behind me there, I almost fell over, don't mind me, is not a cheap gun right now, with its MSRP being just shy of $3,400. Timney is in the news this week with a new trigger. Shocking, I know. This time, though, it's for the AK platform. What's neat about this one is that it is a drop-in style trigger and has an adjustment screw so that it works with a bunch of different safety levers from all the various AK platforms out there. There's a ton, and this should work with a lot of them. They say that it has a pull weight of 3.5 pounds, which is nice. And seeing this sort of stuff to me, is super intriguing because advancements like this on this platform continue to make the AK platform as a whole better. MSRP on the trigger is $250. We've got something else fun for you this week. It's the top selling guns from the website Gunbroker. It's one of the biggest auction sites out there, and I figured it would be cool to run through these real quick and see what made the list. The top 10 are as follows, from number 10 up. The Ruger American Rifle, Henry Sidegate Rifle, CZ75, G43, G19, Henry Big Boy, Ruger 1022, Mossberg 590, the P320, and number 1 is the 365. And if you're thinking, that's kind of a bland list, I agree, but they're lumping in all the various models of some of those and like making it one category with the top 5 guns having like 1,000 different versions of them. That kind of makes sense. Now, before we get into some long guns this week, how's about a deal of the week? We haven't done that in a while. I had a few folks reach out recently to ask about the steel and paper targets that we're using in review videos, so I'll throw you guys a deal on that specifically. If you use our link and only our link, you'll save 20% at checkout. Just click that link, you get 20% off on anything you buy from Caldwell. You have to use our link to get that pricing, and I think they're running a free shipping deal, so if you spend over $50, that kind of makes it the best deal on the internet for these targets. That's not bad. Link is in the description. How's about some long guns? Gunworks, the brand that makes some ultra premium gun packages, has a new one called the Vertix Rifle System. As with all of the Gunworks stuff, it's focused around hunting, like high-level stuff here. The barreled action is from their Climber lineup. We've covered that a while back. And the stock is called the Magnus. It's got a carbon barrel, a carbon stock, and can be had in 8 different calibers with 3 different barrel lengths, 18, 20, or 22 inches, with or without a break. I spec'd one out like to the max with the rifle, the Collis Optics, I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, left-hand setup, and a few other things, and it gets it up to an MSRP of 14,739 bones. If we drop it back to like a more normal setup that's just the rifle without a bunch of trinkets, it lands at $85.50, and that is very expensive as a setup, but to me, this company is making the kind of thing that you buy as an investment for a lifetime or to pass on to your grandkids or something like that. You guys will tell me if I'm crazy about that down in the comments. I'm sure you will, but I think it could be really cool to have one of those one day. Henry also has a new one this week called the Supreme. Shout out to Burst Review, who covered this thing at SHOT and got some great footage. Go watch the Burst Review video. We're going to link that down in the description if you want the full rundown. Long story short, this is the first lever gun from Henry that takes, yes, AR mags. Holy shit, it's about time. We've seen a bunch of brands making lever guns like more tactical, and they're typically like AR kind of brands. And this is a brand with tons of traditional lever gun experience blending the two ideas. It comes in either 223 or 300 blackout chamberings, comes with PMags, free-floated barrel, ambi controls, rotating bolt. The barrel lengths are not mentioned here, but I suspect it'll be 16 and whatever. They come threaded as well. Now, as a suppressor enthusiast, I will say that this in 300 blackout would be freaking sick. It would be so cool. It'll stay quiet because the gases are forced out of the muzzle only, and that means it could be a really nice hunting setup. I wish it had an adjustable cheek piece so you could run a wider selection of optics. Whatever. The price isn't set yet, but they are saying between $1,250 and $1,400. I'm also going to weigh in and say that I want to see this chambered in 458 SOCOM, 350 Legend, something else like chonky. I want to see a big bore version of this. The possibilities are substantial here. We're also not going to talk about how Henry Supreme sounds like the name of a new Disney Channel animated superhero. Like, okay, that's a choice. Sure. I have a friendly fire question for you guys this week. We've covered an absolute boatload of stuff from SHOT Show this year. In the last few weeks, we've covered a lot, and a lot of you guys have seen these. And from reading the comment section here on TGC videos, a lot of you are not impressed with the releases, saying things like this is the same old stuff, prices are too high, etc. And when I made a post about that, your reaction, I made a post about that on my own personal LinkedIn page, I was met with resistance from industry professionals claiming that it was one of the best SHOT Shows in ages. My question to you guys is kind of twofold. Why do you think that kind of disconnect between industry folks and the public exists? And do you think that this year's SHOT had anything truly exciting from your perspective? While you're typing your response out to that question, I'll cover this next one for the news folks that subscribed recently.